Yeah, very interesting presentation. We have almost covered all the important animal groups already this morning. And now we're gonna move on to the next one, the biggest one and maybe most underrated one, the insects. And we're gonna hear something about the antlion from Arjit. Arjit, are you there?
Yes, can everybody see and hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, my print is not supposed to be updated. So, I will share my screen because it has some, the previous presentation had some errors. Uh, Please hold on for a bit. Uh, okay. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay. I have started sharing the screen.
Can you maybe put it in full screen?
Uh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now it is saying your screen sharing. You can't see it. Is it?
Yes, we can see it, but if you
Okay.
can activate full screen, that would be better.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is the full screen. Yeah. Uh, okay. So, hello. Uh, this is the full screen. It's not getting beyond this. So, anyways, I hope at least the writing is legible. Anyways, hello, this is Arjit Jere. I am from India, and this presentation is part of my master's thesis work, which was based on an insect known as antlion. So yes, he rightly said that the insects are underrated, and this is one of insect which is very common, but many things are yet to be known about its ecology, at least in India. So to introduce, so this was part of my master's project at which was guided by a supervisor from the National Center of Biological Sciences, Bangalore, uh, and I am currently at Adamant University as a researcher. So just an introduction about this insect. So antlers are basically insects belonging to the order Neuroptera. So Neuroptera, the name itself means net-winged insects. So as you can see, this is the adult of the antlion, and the wings are venated. So it has like a network of veins beneath the wings, and many of the species belonging to Neuroptera have such wings. That is why the name Neuroptera. And it belongs to the family of Myrmidonidae. So the name antlion itself is such because it eats ants, and it is a big predator of ant. That's why ant lions. So this is how the antlion larvae looks like, and this was the larvae kind of larvae which I was studying. So these larvae, they dig pits into the soil, as you can see here. They dig conical pits into the soil, and they are found in wild as well as urban areas of tropics, and neotropics. So they dig pits into the soil, and with the help of these pits, they catch the prey, and any small insects which walk in the soil, they fall inside these pits. And after that, the mandibles which they move these mandibles in such a way, that the insect which has fallen inside the pit, it goes further deep uh, inside the pit because it loses its balance. When the antlion tosses the sand, it loses its balance, and the insect falls inside the pit, and that's why it gets caught. It is like a hellhole for insects. So the adults are like four flyers and herbivores, while the larvae are opposite. They are carnivores, and they are sit and wait strategists. So uh, these pits are found in different kinds of soil, and in Europe and Australia, especially a lot of work has been done to study how ecological factors affect these pits. Like it has been found that not only pit dimensions but also the time required to build pits, and the energy and the ability of the antler to build pits itself that is affected by many ecological factors like temperature, shade, soil depth, soil fertilizer, etc. And without this pit, the antlions won't survive. So they are very important for the antlion. But the research in the ecology of antlion pits is very almost non-existent in India. So there is very less work done on this topic. And if anybody wants to see how the antlion catches uh, uh, the prey, uh, I can add it in the chat later. So let me know. I have a YouTube video of that. So a bit of pictures to let you people get an idea of how these antennas look like and what kind of habitat they live in. So this is how the larvae looks like. It is characterized with a flattened body and this black thing is a set tail, which are like hair-like coverings over the whole body. Uh, and that larvae looks like this, and the adults look completely different. So you all might be confused that this looks a lot like damsels, right? That is odonets. But these clubbed antennae, which are the one of the organs of this antlion adult, they are very specific to this order. And in dragonfly and damselfly, you won't find these big clubbed antennae. So that is one character where you can differentiate. Otherwise, it does get confusing with odonets. And this is how the pits look like in the natural environment. So what I wanted to study is that like how the variation in soil texture surrounding these pit sites, how do they affect the pit dimensions and also the antline size. If antline size is correlated with pit dimensions, and also if soil textures are correlated with pit dimensions. So I divided this study into parts. So the first part was field work, and I looked at various like semi-forested habitats in and around the city, in and around Pune city where I live, used to live. And the soil analysis was one of the central parts. So one part was a field study, and the other part was an in-house study where I took antlines and enclosures and looked at their dimensions. So one was field study and one was the in-house study. So the soil texture analysis part was common for both of these components, and the soil texture was sent to a different laboratory, and I got the soil texture result in the form of a soil texture triangle, which I will show later, which looked at the amount of sand, silt, and clay into the soil. Uh, then the pits were tagged by number in all the sites. So I basically look. So I will come to the field study now. So there were basically four sites which I used to observe these antline pits. Three of them were in a hilly area in Pune area complex. Uh, and it was a scrub area and little bit deciduous area, but mostly scrub forest. Uh, we did have people who used to go to the places for walking and everything. So semi-forested area, and only the FC site was a part of a college campus, so that was the only non-regulated area. So I measured the pit dimensions using a scale and a needle. So I had to little bit savvy with measuring the depth because if you see here, one has to be very careful when measuring the depth because if you were putting an instrument inside that, it might damage the antline. So I used a very small needle, and I if this was the center of the pit, I used to use a needle like this, and whatever area was covered, I did mark with a pen, and whatever area was whatever number of parts were inside the pit, that was corresponded to centimeters, and that's how the measurement was done. So that was a field study. So I compared I compared the 30 bits per site for all the four sites and looked at the dimensions and also looked at sizes of antlines in the pits. So this was the field study, and for the home study, I just took different enclosures and put soil from the sides in the enclosures, and then added ant lands of equal size, 8 ant lands per site for different three soil types, uh, and then measure their pits weekly, pit dimensions weekly. Yes. So this was the home study. Then the statistical test I used was that I used Shapiro-Wilk test first to check normality of data. Uh, I found the data to be non-parametric. So I used Kuskal-Wallis test for comparison of pit dimensions across sites. There is one chat. Okay, I will add that link here about the ant catching the prey. Just 1 minute. Yes. So you can check the video. It is a very interesting video. How it catches the prey. Very efficient predator. So, anyways, I use Kuskal-Wallis test to look at the pit dimensions across the sites and Manukyan test for comparisons between two sites. Softwares used were PAST and R. So now I will come to the soil texture analysis results. So you have to look a bit carefully here. So uh, as you can see, there are four dots here. So this is a soil texture light triangle. So on the x-axis there is the amount of sand, uh, and on the two horizontal, sorry, two vertical scales, it is clay and silt. Sorry. So as you can see here, uh, this is the sand. So three sides have very similar amounts of sand. So 60%, 56%, 60%, and 70%. This is the sand concentration, sand textures, amount of sand in percentage basically of the site 3, site 4, and site 2. But as you can see here in the middle, there is another dot which corresponds to 40% sand and 40% silt. So that is the Ferguson College site which had less sand and it had more clay, like 50% clay. Well, all the other sites had very less clay. So the rationale was so one of these sites had very different soil texture. The rationale was that if the soil texture is smoother, then it might be easier for the antibiotic pits because digging pit in a very rough surface might be difficult for the ant plant. So that was the rationale. So maybe because of that, the amount, maybe due to the difference in soil texture, the size of the pits which it could dig, the dimension and depth differing. So now I'll go to the results. So as you can see here, this is pit diameter of the antline size. So antline size is x-axis and pit diameter is the y-axis. So these are the like 0.1, 1.52. So as you can see, the antline size goes on increasing, the pit diameter also goes on increasing, and like the correlation was moderate, like 0.5 correlation coefficient. So it was significant. P-value was significant, but pit depth and antline size, it was a very weak correlation, which is like 0.3. So not very significant. So diameter did increase according to size, but not depth. So here you got result about the pit dimensions across the sites. So this is diameter across the sites. Diameter for site 4, this is diameter for site 2, site 3, and FC site. And this is depth for across the sites. So both the diameter and depth were significantly different across the sites. And as you can see here, the FC site which had more clay and the site 2 site 2 which had bit lesser. So this is site 2, it's a bit lesser sand than the other sites, and this is FC site which has the least amount of sand, and sand is the biggest particle size. So the less the sand it is, the smoother it is. So FC site and FC site and site 2, they had the biggest diameter, so it kind of makes sense because they had it will be less amount of sand than the other sites. And here, if you look at the depth of the FC site pits is a bit more than the other sites. So that could be because it has a more amount of clay, which makes it smoother for the antibiotic pits. Maybe they dug bigger pits, uh, dug deeper pits for the FC site. So here I got to like a significant difference. And this was the home study. So for the home study, I found that diameters and depth, they were not a big correlation with ant length. As you can see, the uh, correlation coefficients are not very strong, like 0.29 and 0.28. And also for pit dimensions. So pit dimensions also, if you see, this is like soil from three sites, FC site, site 2 and site 4. As you can see, there is not a significant difference of all between all the pit dimensions across the soils. So the p value is not significant. I think that could be because when I put the soil in the enclosures, I may not have provided enough depth for them to dig variable pit dimensions fits in the first place, so that might be a reason. This is a bit more advanced graph uh, which was made in R, and what it basically looks at is like gray sand and silt graph, and the size of the circle indicates the average diameters of the pits for the three sides. So this is three sides. Side 3, side 4 is actually two circles, but they are overlapping. And side 2 is bit bigger in diameter than the other circles, which I had shown in the previous video. And again, side 2, so the soil textures of side 3 and side 4 are similar, and side 2 is bit different. It is lesser sand. So, and depths, as I said, depths, there was little bit of difference, but like depths of side 3 and side 4 were similar, while the depth of side 2 was a bit bigger. You can see the side of the circle is the side of the circle is corresponded to the diameter, average diameter. So slightly bigger circle for side 2, which means it has an average bigger diameter than the side 1 and side 2. So summing up, like the pit dimensions did have a significant relation with the ant length for the field study, and the dimension did vary overall. So the field characteristics like soil texture and also like other categories which might be affecting, but I had not videos like disturbance and shade. All these factors must have affected the field dimension across the sites. So that's why I found a significant difference in the field dimensions. Then the home study, I didn't find any significant difference across the soil textures for field dimensions, and the linkages with antline length were also not very significant. Yeah, and the soil texture of FC side itself, as I said, was different, so that also was linked with the differences in the dimensions from the other three sides. So now coming to the end, so pits are very important part of antline ecology, affecting various activities of the antlion, especially its diet and predation. So, and antlions actually, apart from like being very efficient predators, they have been used to actually control pests in farms in some places. And knowing more about like what factors affect these pests, it would be important understanding their ecological value, and if there any plan to use them for like pest control in farms, then like knowing what factors lead to their bigger pits and better pits is important, so that that kind of soil can be used. And also, this is yeah, as I said, the home study I didn't get significant because the depths I used were not deep enough. And yeah, so despite being so common in India, it is found anywhere, but not much study is done on this animal. Like basic study like this might help for more information generation, and it might help further study to look at other aspects of ecology and behavior. One caveat of my study is that I could not identify the species of the antlion, the specific species. That is because like even taxonomy of antlions is very difficult from larvae, and the larvae stay at larvae for 2 years, so it is difficult to find adults. And even taxonomy adults is not very detailed in India to identify species. So I don't identify species of the study, and it is possible that the species themselves might be different in different sites which I measured. And then it could be possible that the pit dimensions also vary according to the species. Now that might be another aspect, and it's an interesting aspect because just like spider webs, just like termite hills, antlion pits are like extended phenotype of the antlion. So it could be viewed like that if the species are different as a distinct identity and extended phenotype. So that brings me to the end, and some photos, interesting photos of the antlion. So again, to get more idea. So this is how I measured the. This is on the side itself, side 4, and this is how I measured the pit diameters, like directly going into the pit with scale. This is the antlion measurement. So it was like 1 or 1 centimeter was the max size of antlions. This was the site 3 and this was the site 2 in which scale. And this was the home enclosure. So this was like enclosure site 2 for site 3. This is for enclosure for FC site. So yeah, that brings me to the end. If anybody has questions, let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Arjit. Yeah, if any one of our listeners has a question, you can either put it in the chat or Q&A, or you can raise your hand and then we can unmute you. Yeah, maybe I would like to know, how did you get into this topic, Arjit? It's very interesting, but some people might consider it quite a niche topic within wildlife conservation.
Yeah, I mean, it is more about like ecology, but it can have conservation applications, like more utilitarian applications. But like actually, I got into this topic just by like observing. Like I used to go to that hill very often just to roam around and look at the different animals, because of course like I like observing nature and looking at observing different animals. And this is where in that hill area only I found these pits, and then I had to wonder about these pits. Like I found them in different kinds of habitats, and that's why this question came, like how do the soil textures, or how do the ecological factors affect these pits. Then I got around catching these antlers, which is also tricky because catching that animal without damaging the pit is tricky. So one has to use threads or other things. So yeah, it was a very interesting project. Yeah, so Amber asked plans for future research. Well, yes, there are lots of things which can be done in the system. It's a very good system for behavior and ecology. Uh, I don't want to learn. I don't want to answer more kinds of questions in the systems. Like learning in ant is one aspect which I might apply to a PhD for this project in Canadian University. The lab is working in it. Another thing is like reading more awareness about these insects, and also if anybody would be interested in using them as pest control, possibly that could be another direction. But yeah, there are so many avenues of research in this plans with different questions in behavior ecology and even like more application based questions. So yeah, it is a very dynamic system.
Okay, thank you, Arj. It sounds like you have some interesting plans for the future. I don't see any more questions from our audience. So I would like to thank you again for this presentation and hope you'll stick around to see some other of the presentations we have
Sure,
to
sure.
still coming up today.